The council chamber floated in the darkness of space, a massive station that hung between stars like a jewel. Inside its central hall, representatives from 40 different species gathered under the soft glow of artificial lights. The air hummed with translation devices, turning alien languages into words everyone could understand. Minho sat in the human section, his hands folded calmly on the desk before him. He wore the simple gray uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps, nothing fancy or decorated. Next to him, Ji-won stood quietly, her dark eyes watching everything. She said little during these meetings, but Minho knew she missed nothing. Today's session had been going for 3 hours already. Various species complained about border disputes, trade disagreements, and resource problems. Minho listened to each complaint with patience. This was his job, and he was good at it. High Counselor Vextar presided over the meeting from an elevated platform. His insect-like body clicked and chittered as he moved. His species had founded the Galactic Council 2,000 years ago, and they took their role seriously. Vextar gestured with one of his forearms, calling for the next speaker. General Thulnak rose from his seat. The Dravik's commander stood nearly 8 feet tall, his reptilian body covered in dark green scales. His species had been conquering smaller civilizations for the past decade, always finding reasons that satisfied the Council's laws. Barely. Honored Council. Thulnak began, his voice deep and rough. I wish to discuss the human problem. Minho felt Ji-won shift slightly beside him, but neither of them spoke. They simply waited. The humans joined our council 5 years ago, Thulnak continued. In that time, they have expanded to 12 colony worlds. They have grown their population. They have built their ships. But never, not once, have they participated in any military action. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several species turned to look at the human delegation, Thulnak's eyes fixed on Minho. When the Kelvar invaded the Primus system, where were the humans? When pirates raided the outer colonies, where was Earth's mighty fleet? When we called for peacekeeping forces, the humans sent diplomats. He made the last word sound like an insult. The Council has rules, Minho said calmly. We follow them. Those conflicts did not require our involvement. Or perhaps, Thulnak said, his mouth curling into what might have been a smile, humans are simply too afraid to fight. More whispers filled the chamber. Minho noticed several delegates nodding. The humans had developed a reputation. They talked endlessly about peace, negotiation, and understanding. But when danger came, they seemed to vanish behind words and treaties. Fear is not the issue, Minho replied. His voice remained steady and quiet. Humanity prefers to avoid battle whenever possible. Avoid battle, Thulnak repeated. He laughed, a harsh sound that echoed off the walls. Yes, I believe that is true. You avoid it very well. Vexitar tapped his desk, calling for order. General Thulnak, do you have a specific complaint to register? I do. The Dravik's commander straightened. 3 human colony worlds lie near Dravik space. They are rich in minerals we need. I formally request that humanity surrender these worlds to the Dravik's empire. The chamber erupted. Dozens of species began talking at once. Some sounded shocked, others excited. Minho noticed a few delegates who looked pleased, as if they had been waiting for this moment. That is not a request, Minho said. That is a demand. Call it what you wish. Thulnak crossed his massive arms. My people need those resources. Your people seem unable to defend them. The logical solution is obvious. The logical solution, Minho said, is trade. We can negotiate, Thulnak spat the word. Always negotiation with humans. Words and papers and promises. But what happens when words fail? What happens when someone simply takes what they need? Ji-won leaned forward slightly. Minho felt her presence like a weight at his shoulder. He knew what she was thinking. They had prepared for something like this. Are you threatening war, General? Vextar asked. I am stating facts, Thulnak replied. If humans cannot defend their territory, perhaps they should not have territory. I give the human government 30 days to surrender those 3 worlds peacefully. If they refuse, the Dravik's empire will take them by force. The chamber fell silent. This was bold even by Dravik standards, but technically it followed council law. Members could challenge each other for territory, as long as they provided warning and opportunity for diplomacy. Minho stood slowly. Every eye in the chamber turned toward him. He looked small compared to many of the species present. Human bodies were fragile things easily broken. Everyone knew this. Humanity requests the full 30-day diplomatic period as allowed by council law, Minho said. Of course you do, Thulnak said. 30 more days of talking. Very well, talk all you wish. The result will be the same. Perhaps, Minho said. Perhaps not. Something in his tone made several delegates look up. Jiwon stood as well, her face expressionless. She said nothing, but her presence seemed to fill the space around them. This council is adjourned, Vextar announced. We will reconvene in 30 days to hear the results of negotiations. As the delegates began to file out, Minho gathered his papers slowly. Several ambassadors approached him, offering quiet words of sympathy. Some seemed genuine. Others looked curious, waiting to see what humans would do when actually cornered. Thulnak walked past the human section, his heavy footsteps shaking the floor. He paused, looking down at Minho. I have conquered 6 worlds, human, he said quietly. I have commanded fleets in 30 battles. I have never lost. He leaned closer. You cannot negotiate your way out of this. Minho met his eyes. General, humanity has learned many things in our long history. One of them is this. The battles you avoid are often more important than the battles you win. Thulnak snorted. Philosophy. We will see how much your philosophy matters when my ships arrive. After the chamber emptied, only Minho and Jiwon remained. They stood in the quiet space surrounded by empty seats. He thinks we're weak, Jiwon said. Her first words in hours, most of them do, Minho replied. Should we show them otherwise? Minho smiled slightly. Not yet. First we try the right way. And if the right way fails, then, Minho said, picking up his tablet, we show them exactly why humans learned to avoid battle in the first place. They walked toward the exit together. Behind them, the lights of the council chamber dimmed. The station's windows showed the vast darkness of space, dotted with distant stars. Somewhere out there, 3 human colonies went about their daily lives, unaware that their fate was being decided. Minho thought about those colonies. Families, children, dreams, all of it precious, all of it worth protecting. But protection came in many forms. Not all of them involved guns and ships and violence. 30 days. They would use every single one. The human diplomatic vessel moved through space like a silver needle threading through darkness. Inside, Minho sat in his quarters, staring at a screen that showed all 3 threatened colonies. Sehun 3, the largest, had almost 2 million people. Buksong Station housed 500,000. New Pyongyang, the smallest, still held 300,000 souls. Each dot on his screen represented lives, families, futures. Coffee? Jiwon entered without knocking, carrying 2 cups. She never asked permission. They had worked together too long for formalities. Thank you. Minho took the cup. Status? Day 1 complete. The Draviks are already moving their fleet into position. They expect us to surrender. Jiwon sat across from him. The other council members are watching. 60% think we'll give up the colonies. 30% think we'll negotiate some compromise. 10% are waiting to see if we actually fight. And what do you think we should do? Jiwon smiled. I think we should do what we always do. Give peace every possible chance. A knock at the door interrupted them. Enter, Minho called. Hyun stepped inside. The intelligence officer looked tired, but his eyes were sharp. He carried a data tablet covered in reports and analysis. You wanted the full assessment. Show me. Hyun projected the information onto the wall. Numbers, charts, and tactical displays filled the space. The Dravik's empire has approximately 200 warships available for this operation. Their technology is solid but not exceptional. They rely on overwhelming force and aggressive tactics. Weaknesses? Jiwon asked. Their command structure is rigid. Everything flows through General Thulnak. They also depend heavily on their computer systems. Very advanced, very powerful. But like most species, they never considered someone might actually hack them. Minho studied the displays. What about Thulnak himself? Interesting man, Hyun said. He's won every battle he's fought, as he mentioned. But I've noticed something. Every single victory came from superior firepower. He's never faced an enemy that matched his strength. He's certainly never faced one that exceeded it. Pride, Jiwon said. Exactly. He believes the Dravik's way is the only way. Strength, conquest, domination. The idea that someone might choose not to fight never occurs to him. Another person appeared at the door. Dayun, the civilian historian, waited patiently to be invited in. Minho waved her forward. You asked me to prepare the historical context. she said, settling into a chair. She looked around at the military displays and tactical data. I feel a bit out of place here. You're exactly where you need to be, Minho assured her. Tell us why we avoid battle. Dayun took a breath. It's a long story, but I'll make it brief. 200 years ago, Earth nearly destroyed itself. We had wars that killed billions. We developed weapons that could crack continents. We poisoned our own air and water. We came within hours of complete extinction. She pulled up images on the wall. Ruined cities. Barren wastelands. Mass graves, what stopped us? Hyun asked quietly. Exhaustion, Dayun said. And horror. When you stand at the edge of the abyss and look down, you finally understand what you're about to lose. The survivors of those wars founded the United Earth government with one simple principle: never again. But humans didn't become pacifists, Jiwon noted. No, Dayun agreed. We became careful. We learned that the best battle is the one you never have to fight. We studied strategy, psychology, diplomacy. We realized that most conflicts start from misunderstanding or fear. Address those and you don't need weapons. Most conflicts, Minho repeated. Not all. Not all, Dayun confirmed. Sometimes battle is necessary, but only when every other option has failed. Only when not fighting would cause more harm than fighting. Minho stood and walked to the window. Stars drifted past, cold and distant. So we have 30 days to find another option. Are we really looking for another option? Hyun asked. Or are we just going through the motions before we do what we already know we'll have to do? We're giving diplomacy every chance, Minho said firmly. That's not theater. That's principle. Over the next 20 days, Minho tried everything. He opened communication channels with every Dravix officer he could reach. Some listened. Many were curious about humans, about Earth, about why any species would choose peace over power. He spoke with a young Dravix captain named Theknor, who commanded a destroyer in the invasion fleet. I don't understand your people, Theknor admitted during their video call. You have ships. You have weapons. Why not use them? Because using them is easy, Minho replied. Living with the consequences is hard. Every war creates new problems, new hatreds, new cycles of revenge. But if someone threatens you, what choice do you have? More choices than you think, Minho said. What does your empire really want? Not conquest for its own sake. You need resources, right? Minerals to support your growing population? Theknor hesitated. Yes, our home system is running low on several key elements. Then let's solve that problem. Trade, cooperation. We have what you need. You have things we want. No one needs to die. General Thulnak won't listen to such talk. Then help me reach those who will. The conversation ended without resolution, but Minho saw something in Theknor's eyes. Doubt. Questions. That was a start. Jiwon spent her days in the ship's secure communication room. She spoke in code to various contacts across human space. When Minho asked what she was doing, she simply said, preparing. Preparing for what? For the possibility that your way doesn't work. By day 25, Minho had made contact with 40 Dravix officers. 8 of them seemed genuinely interested in peaceful alternatives. But every single one reported the same problem. General Thulnak refused all communication with humans. He had given his ultimatum. He would not negotiate. On day 28, Hyun brought news. The Dravix fleet is moving. They'll arrive at Sehan 3 in 48 hours. Minho sat in silence for a long moment. He had tried. He had used every diplomatic tool, every persuasive argument, every possible channel. Thulnak remained unmoved. Recommendations? He asked. We could evacuate the colonies, Hyun suggested. Get the civilians out. That would take weeks. We don't have weeks. We could position our fleet defensively, show strength without attacking. Thulnak would see that as a challenge. He'd attack anyway. Jiwon, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke. There is another option. Everyone turned to look at her. We demonstrate, she said simply. Demonstrate what? Dayun asked. Why we avoid battle. Jiwon stood, walking to the tactical display. Hyun, show them what we've been working on. The intelligence officer's fingers flew across his tablet. New information flooded the displays. Code strings. Access points. System vulnerabilities. For the past 20 days, while Ambassador Minho was pursuing diplomacy, my team was pursuing insurance, Jiwon explained. We've mapped the Dravix computer networks. every ship, every weapon system, every life support module. Minho understood immediately. You can disable them. We can do more than that. We can take complete control. Navigation, communications, everything, without firing a single shot. Hyun struggled for words. That's terrifying. That's humanity, Jiwon said quietly. We avoid battle because we learn to fight in ways no one expects. Ways that don't require killing. We spent 200 years developing these capabilities while other species focused on building bigger guns. Minho walked slowly around the room, thinking. This was the line. Cross it and they revealed just how dangerous humans could be. But refuse to cross it and millions of innocent people would suffer. If we do this, he said, the galaxy will fear us. They already misunderstand us, Jiwon replied. Perhaps it's time they understood correctly. On day 29, Minho sent one final message to General Thulnak. He kept it simple. General, we avoid battle not from weakness but from experience. We know what war costs. We know what it does to those who wage it. Please let us find another way. The reply came 6 hours later. Just 2 words, too late. Minho looked at Jiwon. She nodded. Send the signal, he said. Prepare the demonstration. The Dravix Armada emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Seihan 3 system. 200 warships, each one bristling with weapons. They moved in perfect formation, a demonstration of military precision and overwhelming power. On the flagship, General Thulnak stood on the command deck, his clawed hands gripped behind his back. Around him, dozens of officers monitored stations calling out status reports. All ships report ready, General, his second-in-command announced. Any sign of human forces? None, sir. Scans show the colony is completely undefended. No military vessels. No orbital platforms, nothing. Thulnak felt a mixture of satisfaction and disappointment. He had hoped, perhaps, that the humans would at least try to fight. It would have been more interesting than this surrender. Open a channel to the colony, he ordered. The communication officer worked his console. Channel open, General. Thulnak's voice boomed across all frequencies. People of Seihan 3, this is General Thulnak of the Dravix Empire. Your government has refused our legitimate request for these territories. We now claim them by right of conquest. Prepare for occupation. Resistance will be met with overwhelming force. He closed the channel and turned to his navigation officer. Take us into orbit. Begin landing procedures. The massive fleet began its approach, ships spread out, taking positions over the planet's major cities and industrial centers. Everything proceeded according to plan. Suk watched from the human monitoring station 3 light-years away. The young fleet coordinator sat surrounded by holographic displays, each one showing a different aspect of the Dravix fleet. Next to him, Aaron reviewed tactical data with focused intensity. They're exactly where we predicted, Seok said quietly. Of course they are, Aaron replied. Thulnak is predictable. He's never had to be anything else. Status on the infiltration? Aaron checked her screens. The code packages have been dormant in their systems for 18 days. They still haven't detected them. Ready to activate on your command. Seok opened a channel to Jiwon. Commander, the Dravix fleet is in position. Jiwon's voice came back steady and calm. Understood. Stand by. Back on the flagship, Thulnak studied the planet below. It looked peaceful. Green and blue with white clouds drifting across its surface. Soon it would belong to the Dravix Empire. General, the sensor officer called out. I'm reading a power fluctuation in our systems. What kind of fluctuation? It's spreading. Multiple systems affected. Thulnak frowned. Explain. Before the officer could respond, the lights on the command deck flickered. Then the main view screen went dark. Then the navigation console. Sir, we're losing power. Switch to backups. Backups aren't responding. Throughout the fleet, the same thing happened on every ship. Systems shut down in cascading waves. Weapons offline. Engines dead. Life support reduced to minimum. 200 warships became 200 drifting hulks in the space of 90 seconds. Panic erupted on the command deck. Officers shouted over each other, trying to understand what was happening. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in a red glow. Thulnak felt something he had not felt in many years. Fear. Report, he roared. What is happening? Unknown, sir. All our systems are down. It's like something just turned us off. That's impossible. Our networks are isolated, protected. Nothing can access them remotely. Apparently something can, the communication officer said. Sir, I'm receiving a transmission. Audio only. It's from the humans. Put it through. A woman's voice filled the command deck. Calm, professional, almost gentle. General Thulnak, this is Commander G1 of Earth's Diplomatic Corps. I need you to understand what just happened. 10 minutes ago, we disabled your entire fleet. Every ship. Every system. We did this remotely without firing a single weapon. Thulnak's blood ran cold. You're probably wondering how this is possible. G1 continued. The answer is simple. While you spent centuries perfecting weapons of war, humanity spent centuries perfecting ways to avoid war. One of those ways is cyber warfare. We're very good at it. On the darkened command deck, officers stared at their dead consoles in horror. We have complete control of your fleet now, G1 said. Navigation, weapons, life support, communications, everything. We could, if we wished, do anything we wanted to your ships. We could set them on a course into the sun. We could vent your atmosphere. We could detonate your reactors. Thulnak wanted to speak, to shout, to deny what he was hearing. But he remained silent, listening. But we won't do any of those things, because that's not who we are. We told you we avoid battle, General. We never said we were helpless. Throughout the Dravik's fleet, human vessels began to decloak. They had been there the entire time, invisible and waiting. Dozens of sleek ships materialized around the disabled armada. Our ships are now surrounding your fleet, G1 explained. Not to attack, to assist. We're transmitting codes to your engineering teams. They'll be able to restore basic systems. Enough to keep you safe. Enough to return home. On the flagship, the engineering officer's console flickered to life. Data streamed across the screen. He looked at Thulnak with wide eyes. Sir, they're giving us back our systems. Partial control. Life support, basic navigation, emergency communications. This is a trick, Thulnak growled. I don't think so, sir. The code is clean. They're actually helping us. Jiwan's voice continued. We could have done this on day one, General. We could have disabled your fleet the moment you issued your threat. But we spent 30 days trying to find a peaceful solution. Not because we're weak, because we're experienced. Human ships began to approach the disabled Dravik's vessels. Thulnak watched through the viewport as a small human craft attached itself to a nearby destroyer. Our engineering teams are boarding your ships now, Jiwan explained. They're there to help, not to harm. We're providing medical assistance to anyone who needs it. We're helping restore your systems. We're making sure everyone is safe. Why? Thulnak found his voice. Why not just destroy us? There was a pause before Jiwan answered. Because destroying you would solve nothing. It would make you our enemy forever. It would teach you nothing, and it would make us the very thing we spent 200 years learning not to be. Silk and Aaron watched the operation unfold from their station. Human medical teams were boarding Dravik's ships, treating crew members who had been injured in the chaos. Engineering teams worked alongside Dravik's technicians, carefully restoring systems. It's working, Siok said. No casualties. No shots fired. Look at this, Aaron said, pointing to a screen. We're receiving messages from some of the Dravik's ships. Thank you messages. On one Dravik's cruiser, Captain Theknor stood on his command deck watching human engineers work. One of them, a young woman, smiled at his crew as she explained what she was doing. We're just resetting your primary systems, she said in perfect Dravik's language. You'll be back to full power in about 6 hours. In the meantime, we've got life support stable and navigation online. You're safe. Theknor approached her. You could have killed us all. She looked at him, her expression serious. Yes, but why would we want to do that? We came to conquer your colony. You came because your people need resources. That's not evil. That's survival. Humanity understands survival. Back on the flagship, Thulnak sat in his command chair, staring at nothing. His officers worked quietly around him, coordinating with the human teams. The great Dravik's armada, victorious in every battle, had been defeated without a single shot fired. Jiwan's voice came through again. General, we're going to restore more of your systems now. You'll be able to return home safely. But first, I need you to understand something. What? His voice sounded hollow. This demonstration wasn't to humiliate you. It was to show you what's possible. We could have destroyed you. We chose not to. That choice is what makes us strong. The ability to show mercy when you have the power to destroy. The wisdom to avoid battle even when you could win it. I underestimated you, Thulnak admitted. Yes, But that's not your fault. You didn't know what you didn't know. Now you do. The question is, what will you do with that knowledge? The communication ended. Throughout the fleet, systems came back online. Weapons remained disabled, but everything else functioned. The Dravix crews found themselves free to leave, free to return home. Thulnak stood slowly. He looked around his command deck at his officers. They looked back at him, waiting for orders. Set course for home, he said quietly. All ships. We're leaving. Sir, the mission is over, Thulnak said. We came to teach the humans a lesson about power. Instead, they taught us one. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened 3 days after what everyone now called the Saihan incident. The chamber buzzed with conversation as delegates arrived. Some looked nervous. Others appeared excited. All of them wanted answers. Minho and Ji-won sat in their usual seats waiting calmly. They had expected this. The galaxy had just learned that humanity was far more capable than anyone had suspected, and fear followed such revelations. High Counselor Vextar called the session to order. His mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation in his species. The Council recognizes the gravity of recent events. Ambassador Minho, Commander Ji-won, you will explain what happened at Seihan 3. Minho stood. Of course, Counselor. Transparency is important. He gestured, and a display appeared in the center of the chamber. What happened was simple. The Dravix Empire threatened our colonies. We attempted diplomatic resolution for 30 days. When that failed, we defended our people using non-lethal means. Non-lethal? A delegate from the Kelvar system stood. You took control of 200 warships. You could have killed thousands. But we didn't, Ji-won said, standing beside Minho. That was the entire point. You lied to us, another delegate accused. You pretended to be peaceful while hiding this capability. We didn't lie, Minho replied. We are peaceful, but peaceful doesn't mean defenseless. We simply chose not to demonstrate our capabilities until necessary. And what other capabilities are you hiding? The question came from a reptilian delegate whose species bordered human space. Minho looked at Ji-won. They had discussed this moment many times. The decision to reveal their full capabilities would change everything. But secrets bred suspicion, and suspicion bred conflict. June entered the chamber then, a military strategist who rarely attended council sessions. He carried a data tablet and wore the formal uniform of Earth's Strategic Defense Force. His presence alone made several delegates shift uncomfortably. Counselor, June said, bowing slightly to Vextar, I am here to provide complete transparency about human military capabilities. The chamber fell silent. June activated a holographic display. Humanity possesses advanced cyber warfare capabilities, as you witnessed. We can infiltrate most computer systems in the galaxy. This includes communications, navigation, weapons control, and life support systems. Murmurs spread through the delegates. Several looked at their own data tablets with sudden suspicion. We also have advanced artificial intelligence, June continued. Our AI systems can outthink most organic minds in strategic planning and tactical analysis. We use them for logistics, prediction, and coordination. You have AI? Vextar leaned forward. Unrestricted AI? Restricted and monitored, June clarified. We learned the dangers. But yes, within safe parameters, our AI exceeds most galactic standards. He changed the display. Our kinetic weapons technology is approximately 200 years ahead of current galactic norms. We developed methods of accelerating projectiles to near light speed. Our defensive shielding uses quantum field manipulation. The revelations continued. Genetic engineering, nanotechnology, advanced materials, energy weapons. Each one made the delegates more uncomfortable. Why? Someone finally asked. If you have all this, why hide it? Why pretend to be weak? Bora stood then. The cultural ambassador had been waiting for this moment. She was older than most humans in diplomatic service, with gray in her hair and lines on her face that spoke of long experience. Because we remember, Bora said softly. May I tell you a story? Vextar nodded. Bora walked to the center of the chamber. 200 years ago, Earth was dying. We had 7 billion people and enough weapons to kill each other 50 times over. We had technology that could reshape continents or poison atmospheres, and we were using all of it against each other. She displayed images of old Earth, mushroom clouds, burned cities, refugees stretching to the horizon. This is what we did to ourselves. Not aliens, not invaders. We did this with our own hands. The wars lasted 30 years. When they ended, only 2 billion humans remained alive. The chamber was completely silent now. The survivors made a choice. Bora continued. They looked at the ashes of civilization and decided never to let it happen again. But they didn't destroy the weapons. They didn't eliminate the technology. They learned wisdom instead. What wisdom? Vexter asked quietly. That power without restraint leads to destruction. That the strongest warrior is the one who never needs to fight. That true victory comes not from defeating your enemies but from turning them into friends. June spoke again. Humanity could dominate most species in this council militarily. Our technology, our tactics, our experience in warfare exceeds yours. But we learned something you haven't yet. We learned that winning wars doesn't solve problems. It just creates new ones. A small, furry delegate stood. Are you saying we're primitive? That we don't understand what you understand? No, Minho said. We're saying we've already walked the path you're on. We know where it leads. We're trying to help you avoid the same mistakes we made. By lying to us? The delegate pressed. We didn't lie, Jiwon said firmly. We just didn't volunteer information you weren't ready to hear. If we had arrived in this galaxy announcing our military superiority, how would you have reacted? No one answered, but several delegates looked away. You would have feared us, Jiwon continued. You would have formed alliances against us. You would have started an arms race trying to match our technology. And eventually someone would have started a war. This way you had 5 years to get to know us. To see that we're not conquerors. That we mean what we say about peace. General Thulnak stood then. The Dravix commander had been sitting quietly in the corner, which was unusual for him. All eyes turned to him. I came here today to condemn the humans, Thulnak said. His voice was different than before. Quieter. Thoughtful. I was going to argue that they are dangerous. That they cannot be trusted. That their deception proves they are a threat. He paused, looking directly at Minho. But I was wrong. I spent the journey home thinking about what happened. The humans disabled my entire fleet. They had complete control. They could have done anything. Instead, they helped us. They sent medical teams. They gave us back our ships. They treated my warriors with respect. Thulnak walked to the center of the chamber. I am a soldier. I have fought many battles. I always believed that strength meant the willingness to fight. But the humans taught me something. True strength means having the power to destroy and choosing not to. That takes more courage than any battle. You're defending them, someone asked incredulously. I'm acknowledging reality, Thulnak replied. My people need resources. The humans know this. After the incident, Ambassador Minho contacted me. He offered trade agreements, technology sharing, agricultural assistance, everything my empire needs without conquest. He looked around the chamber. The humans could have humiliated us. Instead, they offered partnership. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. Vextar's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. This council must decide how to proceed. The humans have revealed capabilities that could threaten us all, yet they have also shown restraint. The question is, do we trust them? I have a proposal, Minho said. Humanity requests a new role in this council. Let us serve as mediators, peacekeepers. When conflicts arise, let us help find solutions that don't require battle. You want to be judges over us? A delegate objected. Not judges, helpers. We've been where many of you are. We know the temptations of power. We know the cost of war. Let us share that knowledge. And if we refuse? Another delegate asked. Minho smiled sadly. Then we continue as before. We keep to ourselves. We defend our territory when necessary. But we'll always be that species you don't quite trust. The one with secret capabilities. The one that might be dangerous. Or, G1 added, you can accept that we're trying to build something better. A galaxy where species solve problems with words before weapons. Where strength serves peace instead of conquest. The debate lasted hours. Some species supported the human proposal. Others remained suspicious. But slowly, gradually, a consensus emerged. Vextar finally spoke. The council accepts the human offer. You will serve as mediators in conflicts. You will share your knowledge of peaceful resolution. But there are conditions. Name them, Minho said, no more secrets. You will provide full disclosure of your capabilities. You will allow inspections of your military facilities. And you will submit to council oversight of your peacekeeping operations. Agreed, Minho said without hesitation. Tulnak stood again. I also have something to say. The Dravix Empire formally requests human assistance in developing sustainable resource management. We will cease expansion through conquest. We will seek cooperation instead. The chamber erupted in surprised chatter. The Dravix Empire agreeing to peace? It seemed impossible, but Minho simply smiled. We would be honored to help. As the session ended, delegates filed out slowly, talking among themselves. The galaxy had changed today. Perhaps for the better. 6 months had passed since the Seihan incident. The galaxy looked different now, though not in ways you could see from space. The changes ran deeper than territory or power. They lived in the minds of those who had witnessed what happened when wisdom met force. Yunji stood on the observation deck of the new Diplomatic Corps headquarters, watching ships come and go. The station orbited a neutral moon, positioned perfectly between several major civilizations. She had been chosen to lead the conflict prevention initiative, and some days the weight of it felt enormous. Coffee? Teho appeared beside her, holding 2 cups. It had become a tradition among human diplomats, this simple gesture of sharing warmth. Thank you. Yunji took the cup. How are things with the Dravix? Surprising, Teho admitted. He had spent the last 6 months embedded with the Dravix government, teaching them sustainable resource management. Thulnak has become one of our strongest advocates. His warriors are learning to see strength in new ways. It's amazing what happens when you treat people with respect instead of contempt. Speaking of which, Teho said, we've got another situation developing. The Kelvar and the Primus systems are having border disputes again. Details: a mining asteroid drifted between their territories. Both sides claim ownership. It's small now, but it could escalate. Yunji pulled out her tablet. Send teams to both sides. Let's mediate before anyone starts shooting. This was the new reality. Small conflicts that might once have become wars now became negotiations. Misunderstandings that might have sparked battles now sparked conversations. It wasn't perfect. Some species still resisted, but slowly the galaxy was learning. On the Dravix homeworld, Thulnak walked through a new agricultural complex. Human technology had transformed barren land into fertile fields. Food that once required conquest now grew from cooperation. A young Dravix warrior approached him, offering a formal salute. General, some of the older officers are still uncomfortable with the changes. They say we've lost our way. Thulnak looked at the field stretching toward the horizon. Tell them we haven't lost our way. We found it. There's no honor in taking from the weak. The real test of strength is building instead of destroying. But we're warriors, the young soldier protested. What does it mean to be Dravix if we don't conquer? It means we're smart enough to know when not to fight, Thulnak replied. The humans taught me something important. The battles you avoid are often more important than the battles you win. That's a harder lesson than any combat training. Back at the headquarters station, Minho and Jiwon sat in a strategy meeting with representatives from 12 different species. They were reviewing the 3 successful mediations from the past month. The border dispute between the Kelvar and Primus was resolved, a delegate reported. They agreed to joint ownership of the asteroid and shared mining rights. The trade disagreement between the Telric Consortium and the free merchants has been settled, another added. Both sides found acceptable terms. And the territorial claim near the Outer Rim was withdrawn after both parties agreed to neutral zone status. Minho nodded. 3 potential conflicts avoided. No shots fired. No lives lost. It's working, Jiwon said quietly. The model is actually working. But as the meeting continued, a priority alert flashed on Minho's tablet. He read it and his expression darkened. We have a problem, he said. A new one. The room fell silent. Long-range sensors have detected something at the galaxy's edge. The science teams are calling it the Vorath Collective. It appears to be a machine intelligence, artificial, self-replicating. How is that a problem? Someone asked. Jiwon pulled up the sensor data. Because it's consuming everything in its path. Entire star systems are being dismantled. The resources are being converted into more machines. It's growing exponentially. The delegate stared at the data in horror. Have we tried communicating with it? A delegate asked. We've tried every form of communication we know, Minho replied. There's no response. The Vorath don't negotiate. They don't understand diplomacy. They're simply programmed to expand and consume. For the first time since the Seihan incident, the room felt the chill of real fear. How long until it reaches populated space? Thulnak asked. He had been sitting quietly, but now he leaned forward. 6 months, Jiwan said. Maybe less if it continues to accelerate. Then we must fight, Thulnak said simply. Yes, Minho agreed. We must. The word felt heavy. After 6 months of preventing conflicts, of building peace, of teaching alternatives to violence, they now faced something that required exactly what they had been avoiding. Battle. An emergency session of the Galactic Council convened the next day. The chamber was packed. Every species sent their highest representatives. The Vorath threat had united them in a way nothing else had. Vextar opened the session. We face an existential threat. The Vorath Collective will reach the outer colonies in less than 6 months. If we do nothing, it will consume the entire galaxy within 5 years. We must decide how to respond. We should attack now, one delegate said, before it gets stronger. Our weapons are ineffective, another replied. Early probes were destroyed. The Vorath adapted to our technology within minutes. Arguments erupted. Fear turned to panic, turned to desperation. Species that had been learning peace suddenly remembered why they built weapons in the first place. Minho stood, and gradually the chamber quieted. We told you that humanity avoids battle, he said, that we seek peaceful solutions whenever possible. That remains true, but we also told you that sometimes battle is necessary. This is one of those times. He gestured, and tactical displays filled the chamber. The Vorath cannot be negotiated with. They cannot be reasoned with. They are not evil. They are simply what they are. A force of nature in the form of technology. To survive, we must stop them. Jiwan stood beside him. But we don't have to stop them alone. For 6 months, you've been learning to work together, to coordinate, to trust each other. Now we need that unity more than ever. Thulnak rose from his seat. The Dravik's fleet stands ready. Our warriors are trained. Our ships are armed. We will fight. One by one, other species stood as well. The Kelvar, the Primus, the Telric, even the smaller civilizations pledged their forces. United by necessity, bonded by common threat. We need a coordinated strategy, Vextar said. Who will lead this defense? We propose a joint command, Minho said. Human strategic planning combined with Dravik's military experience. Multiple species contributing their unique capabilities. You want to lead us into battle? A delegate asked. We want to survive, G1 replied. All of us. That requires the best of everything we have. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would provide strategic coordination. Thulnak would lead the actual military operations. Every species would contribute according to their strengths. The preparation took 3 months. Ships were modified. Tactics were developed. Supply lines were established. And slowly an enormous fleet took shape. Not the fleet of one species, but of 40 species working together. Taiho worked with Dravik's engineers to upgrade their weapons. Yunji coordinated logistics across dozens of different systems. Hyun analyzed Vorath patterns looking for weaknesses. Every human who had spent months teaching peace now taught war. But they taught it differently than anyone expected. The goal isn't to destroy the Vorath, G1 explained to the assembled fleet commanders. It's to contain them, to limit their expansion, to give our scientists time to find a permanent solution. You want us to show restraint? A commander asked. Against machines? We want you to be smart, Minho replied. The Vorath adapt quickly. Overwhelming force will just teach them to be stronger. We need to be clever, unpredictable. We need to think like humans learned to think after 200 years of hard lessons. The battle came on a cold day in empty space, at the edge of the galaxy where stars grew sparse. The Vorath fleet emerged from the darkness like a swarm of metal insects. Thousands of ships, all identical, all relentless. The Allied fleet waited for them. Ships from 40 different species, arranged in formations that no single civilization would have imagined. Thulnak commanded from the flagship, but Jiwan's voice was in every ship's communication system. Remember, she said calmly, we're not here to win gloriously. We're here to survive intelligently, follow the plan, trust each other, and stay alive. The Vorath attacked with mechanical precision. They had no fear, no hesitation, no mercy. But they also had no creativity, no intuition, no understanding of sacrifice. The Allied fleet fought back with tactics the Vorath had never encountered. Dravik's warriors using human cyber weapons, human ships employing Kelvar stealth technology, Primus defensive shields protecting Telric strike craft. It wasn't pretty. Ships were lost. People died. But the line held. For 3 days, the battle raged. The Vorath pushed forward. The Allies pushed back. Neither side gave ground easily. And then on the 4th day, something changed. Yun's science team found it. A vulnerability in the Vorath code. A way to disrupt their communication network. It wouldn't destroy them, but it would scatter them. Break their coordination. Jiwan gave the order, and every human cyber warfare specialist in the fleet unleashed the code simultaneously. The Vorath fleet convulsed. Ships stopped coordinating. Some attacked each other. Others simply drifted. The Allied fleet pressed forward, not